In this third video of a multi-part series where I detail my experience in an online MBA program, I'm going to answer the question of, is it really possible to network and establish a strong connection with your peers in an online MBA program? The answer may surprise you, so stay tuned. Hey folks, Richard Walls here, and welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, what this is all about is helping you with your professional branding, career development, and personal finance. Now, if you want to see more content like that, of course, do subscribe down at the bottom and hit the notification bell so you get notified of when I post new content. And of course, it'd be a huge favor to me if you like what you see, hit that like button down below. It helps me out quite a bit and helps out my channel. So with that said, let's get to it. So in my previous video, I talked a little bit about what makes an ideal candidate for an online MBA program. You can check out that video in the description below. But essentially, the online MBA programs are good for mid-career professionals looking to advance in their respective careers. And when it comes to on-campus programs, especially the really expensive ones, there's really not a lot of good value in it for them. Now that said, one really critical element of an on-campus MBA program, and really the reason that most people go get their MBAs, is for networking. It really is one of the biggest value propositions for any MBA program, which is to meet new people, make new friends, and also develop relationships that could either at that point in time or down the road become business opportunities or even career opportunities for you. And obviously, on-campus programs lend itself to networking pretty easily because if you're doing an on-campus program, chances are you're doing that full-time. So all you're doing is worrying about studying, doing well in school, networking, recruiting with different companies. So you have this time to really focus on that, as does everybody else. Now with online MBAs, you're likely doing that part-time, so you have work to think about, you have other obligations, so you might think, and of course with this being online, everything's virtual, you might think that networking, any kind of meaningful networking, couldn't possibly happen in such a program. This is certainly what I thought before I went into the program, but what I learned after 2 years of being in the program, I was way off with my presumptions about networking in an online MBA program. Not only can you network, I would argue you could even do it as effectively as you would in a full-time on-campus MBA program. Now that statement does come with some caveats because as I mentioned in just about every other online MBA video that I do where I talk about the value of an online MBA, it really depends on the university you go to. Now I'm not gonna go into the topic really of selecting the right university. I've got a link in the description below of another video I do where I talk about that and talk about my decision for the program I'm currently in. But as far as networking goes, there are certainly plenty of opportunities. Some opportunities the university offers, and other opportunities where you might have to go about it on your own and be proactive about setting those opportunities up. So now that you know that, let me go ahead and share with you some of those opportunities that I've had experience with in my program. The first one is a social media platform. This is really foundational to any networking in an online MBA program. Hopefully the university provides this for you. In my case, where I go to the University of Illinois, they use Workplace, which is owned by Facebook. So it's actually a very familiar look and feel. But this is really where you introduce yourself, you break the ice, you get to know others in the program, and more importantly, there are subgroups you can also join. So these could be subgroups for classes you might be taking, so you can ask questions about some of the course material to better understand it. You might also join other subgroups that have nothing to do with school. It could just be about interests or common interests. So it could be sports, or it could even be career related, but these again are subgroups you can join, add value to, and meet other people through those forums. And the more you contribute and the more actively involved you are, the more you start seeing names pop up over and over again. There's some with any online MBA program, it really is what you make of it. So you can be not at all involved, or you can be very involved. And those that do choose to be very involved, especially on social media, you get to know those people pretty well, especially if you're involved yourself. So again, you'll start seeing names pop up more and more often, and you'll be better acquainted with a good group of people through that. Second opportunity is in group assignments. Now, I think this is an overlooked area when it comes to networking opportunities, but really in almost all, if not all of my classes, there is a group work component to it. So typically you get assigned a group that lasts throughout the entire course. And throughout that time, you're doing group work in a virtual environment. You're all in video chat, typically coordinating on assignments, and you get to spend time with them that way. Now, here's the deal with group assignments, especially in an online MBA. Now, you know that I mentioned earlier that it's typically for mid-career professionals looking to advance in their respective careers, but of course there's plenty of people that are pursuing an MBA to change companies or change careers. So the one thing with online MBA programs is, again, everyone's already working at a company. So if you're looking to make that move, you have to really think about the contributions you're making to that team, and you want to put your best foot forward, because if someone on your team is at a company you have an interest in, you certainly want to make a good impression. Now, you want to do good work anyways. It's not just because you might want to move to a different company or what have you. You want to put your best foot forward because, again, you're establishing your brand to other people. So if you do great work and you leave a good impression, people will remember that. Now, one additional bonus tip for you is that another thing that leaves a really good impression that is very memorable is if you hit the like button down at the bottom of this video. It leaves a good impression, at least on me. I certainly appreciate that. I will remember this. So go ahead and do that. So once you've done that, let me give you the third opportunity, which is university-sponsored meetups and conferences. So let's say from the start of the program, you've been active on social media, whatever platform that the university uses. You've gotten to learn a few names, get to know a few different folks. You've done some group assignments, so you've networked a little bit through that. So the next step is when the opportunity does arise for a university-sponsored meetup or conference, that's something you definitely want to attend. For example, at my university, they host a 4-day weekend conference where everyone is invited to fly out to campus. Now, this is optional. You're not required to go to this, but again, highly recommended. You go to the campus, they give you a tour, and throughout the 4-day weekend, there's different lectures from different professors on different topics. There is also formal networking that actually happens, and there's other events that might take place during that time. And if you wanted to, if you happen to be taking a class whose live session lands on one of the days that you're there, you can actually attend the session in person. Now, what is probably just as important is the social aspect of this conference, which if you've been engaged on social media and you've gotten to know different folks, you're going to be meeting them in many cases for the first time. Or if you go to this event more than once, of course you get to see them again and again. But it's almost like meeting up with a friend that you haven't seen in a long time. So that's really what it's like, and it's a really family and communal environment. So the time that I attended my conference, it was one of the best experiences I could have envisioned for this program. So again, highly recommended because you do get that face-to-face time that you wouldn't ordinarily get because it's a virtual program, but you get it here, and you get in a few other places as well that I'll go through here in just a moment. So apart from those big centralized events that are hosted on campus where everyone just meets there, they also do regional events. So think of either mini conferences or simply get-togethers or dinners that they can host. And it really goes back to what I mentioned earlier about the university that you select, because in a program like the one I'm in, there are thousands of students. And really, for the school to do regional events, there have to be enough students concentrated in a particular region or in a city to warrant actually doing something to attract as many people as possible and get a really good turnout so that everyone gets value out of that networking opportunity. And the last little bit that I'll mention about university-sponsored events, we do have the option to do what is termed as a global immersion trip, where a handful of students are, if you apply, you get selected. You go to a city in a different country, you get to learn the culture there, understand how business is conducted there, and so you get to meet different companies even. But you also get to partake in whatever the city has to offer in terms of food, culture, fun. So again, that's another place where you can bond and spend time with your peers. And again, it's another really great opportunity if you get the chance to do it. Now, the fourth opportunity is student-led regional meetups. Now, as I mentioned earlier, on the social media platform, there are subgroups. And one type of subgroup might have to do with geography or a specific region or city. So in my case, there's one for Texas subgroup. So you have a good handful of folks in Dallas or in Austin or San Antonio or Houston. And what we typically do simply on our own is we schedule our own meetups. So there's someone that goes out and hosts whatever they'd like to host and invite whoever is in the area to come by. That's a really good way to proactively engage other students and get to know other people in person. Again, because this is a virtual program, you don't get those opportunities very often. But again, if the size of the program is such that there's a good concentration of students in a particular city, hopefully one that you're in, then that's an opportunity to network that you might not otherwise have had. And I myself have taken advantage of this quite a few times, and I've gotten to know quite a few of my peers in my area through just events that we coordinate on our own. So it makes the program less distant and makes it a little bit more personal. It makes you feel like you are doing an on-campus program, and I say that sort of jokingly. It's not truly that, but again, you do get that face-to-face interaction. You do get that proximity to other students that are in the same boat as you, that are doing the same program, going through all the same material. So again, it's a fantastic opportunity. This, of course, is different if you're in a city or not even close to a major city. You're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. That might be a little bit harder. You might not get to experience that. But again, you have other opportunities if you're willing to travel for it. Now, those 4 opportunities that I just mentioned, this all requires you to be proactive about your networking. It requires you to be aware of the resources your university provides to you to enable that networking. But really, it's all on you. If you consider on-campus full-time programs, networking is naturally a little bit easier because everyone's on campus, everyone is totally focused on school. For online programs, you have to go out of your way a little bit more to do that. But again, if you put more effort into it, you're certainly going to get a lot out. Even in on-campus programs, you could technically go through a program and really not get a lot of networking out of it. Of course, that would be to your detriment if you didn't do that. But I would argue the same for online MBA programs. You can choose to network, you can choose not to network, but I can tell you for sure there is plenty of opportunity to network. So folks, I hope this video helped and puts a little bit of a different light on online MBA programs and how effectively you can really network in such a program. Now, in the comments below, let me know what you think about networking in an online MBA program. Do you think it's possible? Do you think you can do it as effectively as a full-time on-campus MBA program? Of course, let me know down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter. With that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.